What's up, ladies and gentlemen, Spade here, and welcome to my final thoughts on playing Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves. It is currently December 30th, and the time right now is 1:32 a.m. And I've finally played this game for the first time ever this month here in December. It took me roughly a week, I want to say, to beat this game. Maybe like a week and 2 days. So I'd say maybe like around 9 days total, if I had to take a guess. Surprisingly, this game was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm sure this game would have taken longer for me to play through if bottles were in this game, but they are not. So all you really can do in this game is either do every mission back to back, or collect coins, and that's it. Slash loot from bodyguards. That's why we're doing a final thoughts video on this game. Actually, this isn't a lot I want to just talk about when it comes to my first experience with this game. I know there are parts about this game that I've definitely seen people bitch and complain about over the years, at least. Out of what Let's Plays I have seen for this game. And I kind of want to just get my own thoughts on it, on certain parts of the game. What I liked, what I hated, that type of thing. Though that said, let's talk about the hazard room. So when it comes to the hazard room, it's simple enough, it's just tutorials overall. I think I did like the first two at the beginning of the game, and everything else right after I beat the game. Not really too much to say with the hazard room, other than it seems like an unnecessary part of the game in my opinion. But it's still good to have in its own way. We all talk about the game in order here, so yeah. When it comes to beginning of the end, honestly not too much to say here other than it's the opening of the game. You get a sneak peek on who will eventually join the Koopa gang for the Koopa Vault job at the end of the game. And honestly, it was simply rather fun to play through that part of it. A little bit of mystery for those who've never played any other Sly Koopa game, or have ever seen any. So it's, I don't know, it's just kind of nice that it's there. They like get a hint in a way to who will eventually join you. Now we're gonna start actually talking about each fucking world at this point. Alright, so it comes to an opera of fear. For me personally, I think this is the second most forgettable world in the Sly Cooper series, in my opinion. Overall, I feel like it is the most forgettable. But at the same time, the world itself is the second least forgettable. But I feel like the missions are the most forgettable. But I didn't really struggle too much with this world. Freeing Dimitri from prison in this episode was easy. I always thought I would struggle a bit on this, but surprisingly I actually never. It was just quick and easy, and a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. For some reason, I thought it was going to be more complicated. Now when it comes to Murray's ball form, this is easily the part in this episode I struggled on the absolute most. But that was, even though I never actually game over or anything, or died trying to do this mission, Murray's ball form is just a bit tricky to constantly bounce up and down. And for me, that's definitely what I struggled on the most. Because you have to destroy certain spots throughout the world. And I had to do it one at a time. And if you stop bouncing once you reach a certain height, you literally gotta go back to where you began and try and get to the next spot. Even though you can continuously destroy everything. And I just hated the idea that I was so bad at it. I had to constantly go back and forth, which made that mission harder than it needed to be. For me at least. Now when it comes to destroying and chasing down boats in the canal, honestly, I always thought I would struggle a lot on this, both times. But surprisingly, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. It was definitely, what's what I'm looking for? It was challenging, but it wasn't rage-inducing or anything. It provided a solid challenge overall. As for Don Octavio versus Bentley in their singing competition, That was, again, it was simple, but I also thought I would struggle on that a bit. But well, that wasn't too bad. The boss fight with Don Octavio and Moe, I never lost this fight. It wasn't hard or anything. However, something funny did happen while doing this. And that being, I somehow left Don Octavio behind. So much so to where he literally didn't follow me to the second location of the boss fight. Which was honestly kind of funny because I thought I had to go try and find him to then try and bring him to the spot where he needed to be. By the time I was starting to consider doing that, he magically showed up. Which is just kind of funny, in my opinion. Overall, an opera feel was a pretty okay, decently challenging world / episode. For me, opera feels just rather forgettable for some reason. For me, I'm not really sure why. It just is. But the most forgettable world, or at the very least interesting world in the Sly Cooper series, in my opinion, would be Rumble Down Under. That episode, there are only three things technically, that I always remember about this world, and everything else is a blank. But I'll get to that in a bit. Searching for the Guru. It was a simple enough of a mission. It was okay. I think I struggled on the wall hooks a little bit, but overall the mission wasn't too bad. The Mask of Dark Earth is still the worst villain in the Sly Cooper series. You can't convince me otherwise. It just is. But the second most memorable thing about this world is easily the final boss fight. Climbing up Carmelita to destroy the Mask of Dark Earth. Honestly, I thought this boss fight was gonna be really frustrating in a way, but it was probably the most simple one in the whole game, to be honest. As for collecting scorpions with the big truck, you're driving around. That mission was something I was really worried about. And I figured I'd be stuck on that for days. Surprisingly, not that bad. I think I finished that mission on my second or third try. So overall, that's not too bad, all things considered. That's definitely one mission I will always remember when it comes to this episode. I just always hear people bitching about this. And I don't know, for me it just wasn't too bad. But I can also see if you're having a bad day, then the game for this mission could probably really bite you in the ass, if anything. And just make it even more annoying. As for the lemonade bar, drinking competition slash bar fight, easily the most memorable part in this episode, period. As because of those three missions, is why this is the second least memorable world in the entire Slackable series for me. Venice, Italy is just the most forgettable one. For some reason. For me at least. I will say one thing though. Using the goo to smash guards into objects in this world and just in the game in general, I thought I would struggle on this a hell of a lot as well. But surprisingly, not really. A tad bit, but not too much. A few accidental bumps here and there, but that's about it. We will talk more about controlling the goo pretty much with each episode. So yeah, overall rumble down on the... I think this is the episode I spent the least amount of time playing. To be honest. Out of every other world, not counting the Cooper Vault job at the end of the game, this is easily the part of the game I spent the least amount of time in. And also not counting the beginning of the end. Because the actual worlds you can explore in the game, this is the one I spent the least time in. It's just a dull environment with just not really much going for it, in my opinion. Then we have Flight of Fury. I think that's how you say it. Flight of Fancy, is that how you say it? Regardless, Holland. Honestly, at this point, we finally entered the part of the game to where everything is memorable, and where the real chunk of this video is gonna be discussing each episode. This episode, I really enjoyed playing through the Holland world that we can explore. I wasn't expecting to really enjoy exploring this world as much as I thought I would. But this was just a blast to play through in every sense of the word. Design-wise, it's rather simple and basic, but at the same time, it just gives us such a great vibe and feel. It really does. I kind of wish to go have explored the hotel in a far greater detail, but overall, that's not that big of a deal. I just wish we could have entered a bunch of rooms, but it is what it is. As for some of the missions in this episode, stealing the flight roster was a fun one. And not as hard as I was thinking it was going to be. If I'm remembering correctly, I think you have to go to the sewers with Sly and Murray, I think. If I recall correctly. It's at this point where we first talk to Dimitri in the hotel. That conversation was just great. And the fact that Mugsa is also here in this episode makes this episode even better. We are sneaking into one of the team's hotel rooms and going through the sewers with Murray and Sly. Going through those sewers, I thought that was going to be a really tough part that I would struggle with. Surprisingly, on the way to the hotel room, never hit a single thing. So that was free. Once we're in the hotel room, not with framing the teams, that's what I'm thinking of. That's the mission I'm fucking thinking of. Yeah, frame Team Iceland. That's the mission I'm thinking of. Or was it frame Team Belgium? Whatever. Regardless, maneuvering through the hotel room they're sleeping in, I actually thought I was gonna wake them up several times. Again, did that flawlessly by some miracles somehow. And on the way out of the sewers, I thought I would make a perfect run in this mission, but sadly, the answer would be no, because I hit one thing, and that's it. Whatever mission that was, it was free. It was free overall, and an absolute blast. I still kind of don't like that one to pedal forward as Murray in the boat. You have to constantly mash the X button. I wish you could just hold down the button instead. That's the one thing I didn't like about how the small boat feels. And we get to feel that same control for maneuvering a small boat again in a later episode in the game. Yeah, regardless, moving on. Defending the Cooper hangar. This was one mission I legitimately thought I would struggle on for days. It was probably, yeah, I'd say it's probably the second hardest mission, for me at least, in this episode. First you gotta deal with Microsoft and goons. Then you have to defend the hangar from his goons in the sewers. That part was a bit. Then there's controlling Penelope's RC chopper. Just every fragment of this mission I struggled on for a decent bit of time. I still managed to beat the mission in the same night. I just constantly game overed. Time and time again. As much as I lost in that mission, it could have been worse. It definitely could have been worse. There's one mission in the whole game I actually thought I would struggle on a hell of a lot, and was worried about when playing this game. When eventually coming to having to do it. Now here's where things get interesting. The Aces semifinals. Again, it's another part of the game that before even playing the game, I always thought to myself, flying this airplane in this game at any part of the game would be one of the biggest pain in the asses this game could possibly offer, that I would struggle on and be infuriated for days without end. Surprisingly, it's the exact opposite. This is probably my favorite part of the fucking game. Period. When I struggled the first time, because I was just getting used to the controls of how the plane feels. But I timed the second time around, it was basically free. I basically had the mission won. I was damn near the end until I got shot down by another plane. Times the charm, and I beat it. This mission, along with the finals in this episode, it was just an absolute fucking blast and a treat to play through. It just was. It really fucking was. I personally think, other than the plane feeling like it flies a little bit too slow, beyond that, I think the plane's controls in this game are the best flying mechanics I've experienced so far in video games. Personally, in GTA 5, flying a helicopter or plane is something I still don't comprehend. And I probably never will, because the controls are garbage. In here, the controls are simple and easy enough to understand, easy enough to keep control of, and that's what I love about it. It's just simple and easy. There is like another flying game I've played growing up, where you're flying military planes. I forget the name of it. I don't remember how the controls for that game feel, so I can't speak for whether I think the controls are better here versus in that game or not. But so far, I think this is the best controls for flying mechanics. Personally. If they made a Sly Cooper game to where you're just flying the plane, I would easily play it. Let's just say that much and leave it at that. Now we have to talk about Beauty and the Beast. At this point, you're pretty much controlling Carmelita fighting Mugshot. Easy enough of a fight. Nothing more to really say. Now, Giant Wolf Massacre. Another mission I was highly worried about. Again, it's another guru mission. I struggled big time on this. Which is why I feel like this is the one I probably struggled on the most. Oh wait, I think it's like the second most. Let's put things this way. It took me 5 or 6 tries to realize the square button lets the wolf eat a guard and take them out. I kept ramming into the guards back and forth, almost in a circle motion. And eventually the guards would be taken down. This took forever to try and fucking do. And I hate that it took me so long to realize that there is a attack button for the wolf to eat the guards. This was just a dumb moment on my part, honestly. Which is why I failed the mission so much. On top of that, I accidentally drowned the wolf a few times as well. This mission was easily the hardest one, or second hardest one. I forget whether the hangar was the hardest or this one was. One or the other. It was a hard mission either way. But this one was really hard because of my stupidity. Without realizing there was a fucking attack button all the time. Well, half the time at least. As for the final boss in this episode, I definitely struggled against the Black Baron, aka Penelope. I actually legitimately thought I would have to come back to this boss fight another day. I struggled a decent bit on it. But again, it wasn't that bad once I got used to it. This was the first boss fight in the game to where I actually struggled on for a decent while. And by a decent while, I mean maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And that's about it. Now we move on to a cold assailant. I think that's how you say it. The next episode in the game. This. Oh, fuck. This world is what pissed me off the most in the whole game. And I think you know what I'm gonna be bitching about. The same thing everyone else does. So first off, trying to reach the Panda King. I struggled a little bit overall trying to get everyone up there to the Panda King's location. Mine was the easiest to get up there. Sly was kind of hard, but I also goofed around as well. So that's my own fault. The Guru, again, goofed around a bit with him, trying to figure out how the fuck you even get him up there. But in the end, not too bad. A semi-reused boss fight from the first Sly Koopa game. Got hit a few times, but never lost. That brings us to the actual world. Trying to save the Panda King's daughter from an unwanted marriage. This, I don't even know where the fuck to even begin. Well, first off, Sly as a photographer, as a wedding photographer, was honestly kind of a pretty fun mission, to be honest. I don't think I struggled on this one specifically. As for trying to get Murray's van out of a block of ice and back to the hideout, again, this is another one of those missions where I always thought I was always worried about playing it. Because I knew this looked like a pain in the ass. And it was. This took me several tries. It could have been worse. But in the end, I got the job done. Let's leave it at that. As for using Penelope in this mission, not that bad overall. Think I might have lost once during that part of the mission, maybe. As for using the Panda King to help Murray in this mission, I think that's the part of the mission I struggle on the most. Although, protecting Murray with Penelope as well, that was such a pain in the ass too. This was just a pain overall. As for stealing 2 keys from guards, with grapple cam break-in, this mission definitely took me a decent bit of time, but it wasn't difficult, if that makes any kind of sense. Laptop retrieval? Oh boy. Using the guru to hop on objects and enemies floating in midair. That was just cool, to be honest. Fighting General Tao on top of bamboo trees. Again, this whole overall boss fight, again, was something I thought I would struggle on quite a bit. And to a degree, I was right. It took me a while to figure out the controls for the first half of the fight. Once I figured it out, it wasn't too bad overall. Definitely lost several times, but it could have been worse. As for part 2 of this boss fight, this is where most of the struggle was, I think. Trying to avoid getting hit while avoiding all of his different attacks. I was legit on my last attempt for a night with that boss fight, and that was literally when I won it, surprisingly. Pretty tough fight overall. Definitely tougher than the Black Baron. I'll say that much at the very least. As for using the Panda King to destroy vampires using fireworks, this honestly was easy enough. I don't think I lost this mission, so yeah, it was just simple enough. As for trying to get Carmelita to replace the Panda King's daughter to ruin General Tao's wedding plans with the grapple cam specifically. That part of the mission was definitely the hardest. I forget what mission that was, but that was definitely the hardest part of that mission. Or that portion of it, at least. As for using Penelope's LC call to save Molly from exploding, I was actually worried when I had to do this. Because I know I've heard people bitch about this mission before, and I can definitely see people's complaints. Because even I was complaining during this one. It took me quite a while. Definitely took several attempts, but again, it could have been worse. Then there's pretty much trying to steal General Tao's treasure. Again, using Penelope's LC call to avoid the security was kind of annoying. Not too bad. Trying to destroy the security before time runs out. That's as bad as I would have thought. I failed it once. So as I didn't, but it is what it is. It was annoying, it was hard, but it could have been better. And here comes the worst part of the game. I never game over during this fight or mission. I never game over during this fight, but this is what made me. This is the one part of the game that infuriated me. This legitimately infuriated me. The dragon fight. Everyone bitches about the controls, about trying to land on the dragon and progress forward towards the dragon's head to try and deal damage. When people say trying to land on the dragons a bitch, it is. It fucking is. But oddly enough, the dragon itself wasn't what pissed me off with this fight. While the dragon is doing its rampage, the entire world's bodyguards are pretty much going crazy. Running away, doing their own thing, chasing after you. And whenever you're low on HP, trying to recover that HP you've lost because of the dragon or the security guards. The security guards attacking you, making you lose the little bit of HP you're trying to get back is what infuriated me the most in this game. To the point to where I slammed my fist on this desk and made everything on it jump half a fucking mile. I slammed it that hard. So much so that I actually thought I broke my fist. Considering it hurt like fuck for a few days. Not even joking. Like, the adrenaline was probably the most I've ever felt. I was that infuriated. This is probably the maddest I've ever felt at a Sly Cooper game. And that is saying a fucking lot. Because every Sly Cooper game has made me infuriated at least one point in each game. I simply thought the final boss for this game was going to do that to me. Kind of like the first two games. The fourth game would be the first two final boss fights for each world. But regardless, let's move on. Which brings us over to... oh boy. Dead Men Tell No Tales. This is the episode of the game I thought I would hate the most. But for me, I think this is the one I like the most. I say that I hated it. I thought I would hate it the most. Because, again, I've heard people bitch about this a lot. But I also have heard people like it, and that being playing pirate, sailing the seven seas, raiding ships and sinking them. The controls for this part of the game, I legitimately thought I was gonna struggle big time. And truly, without a doubt, hate it and think it would be the worst part of the game. When it's actually the second funnest part of the game for me. Sailing the seven seas was fun as hell. However, there are some things about it I don't like. You get to go to one island other than... what's the main island for this episode called? Again, Bloodbath Bay, right? I think Dagger Island's the other one I'm thinking of. I think. I'm literally trying to check. Yeah, Dagger Island is, with X marks the spot. I'll talk about that mission in a bit. But when it comes to Dagger Island and Bloodbath Bay, I was really hoping you could go back to Dagger Island after you did the mission Xbox's spot. Unfortunately, as far as I could tell, I don't think you can return to that island and explore it even more. Unfortunately. Which is a damn shame. The second thing I hate about sailing the seven seas in this game, you can't go to other islands and explore them. If that was the case, sailing the seven seas would have been so much fucking fun. It was fun as is, but that just would have added so much more to it and made it even fucking better. And the other thing I hated about it was, for the life of me, I could not figure out how to, once you're actually out at sea, you're controlling the ship, and you're not in battle or anything, I could not figure out how you go back to the lower decks on the ship and go to the safe house on the ship itself without getting other ships to sink yours, therefore getting you to respawn, and then you're walking on top of the ship, which you can then go to the safe house that's on the ship. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to do it other than that. And that annoyed the hell out of me, to be honest. I tried looking it up and I just didn't find any answers to that. When it comes to the actual missions of this episode, first off, the talk of pirates. Talking to... What the fuck is this guy's name again? I forget. The old pirate. And Bruno's doing a bunch of pirate talk back and forth. And stealing your pirate costume was pretty fun, but the pirate smack talk part definitely took me several tries to get right. That is a damn soul. It's still a fun mission though. Pirate talk. As for the mission where you're pretty much trying to find a treasure map as Bentley and Penelope ends up getting blinded and you having to try and get her back to the safe house. This mission was honestly rather long. This is an RC car part of it, which again, was something I actually thought I was going to struggle on a lot before even playing the game. Because all the pieces of something you're looking for on top of rooftops or down below, as there's a bunch of up and down, and you're driving a small car. So I figured I'd get lost trying to find all the pieces. Wasn't as bad as I thought the first part of that mission. The last part of that mission, though, again, not that bad. Not too much to really say, though. Pretty decent mission overall. As for clearing the harbor patrol, and it's at this point we get to control a small boat again while mashing the X button, with the addition of firing a small cannon. This was a rather fun mission, to be honest. I think I lost 2 or 3 times, but overall this was a pretty fun one. And that brings us to X marks the spot. We have to head to Dagger Island and retrieve Dimitri's diving gear. So, Dagger Island. I did not explore this island as much as I would have loved to. If I had known you couldn't go back, I would have explored that island to the fullest before doing the full mission. But it is what it is. Which brings me to another part of this game I thought I would hate and struggle on the most. Treasure maps. Treasure maps and treasure hunting. Read the vague clues to try and find treasure. Try and find the X marks the spot. The treasure maps. I fucking love these things. They are perfectly. The difficulty of these are perfect. They're vague enough that makes you think, but not too hard to where you're losing your mind over it. I fucking love these things. After I beat the main game, I did every treasure map challenge in the game. Venice, Italy's one, aka Opera Field. That treasure map was the hardest one. Trying to find a starting point. For that one at least. Every other one was free. But treasure maps during this mission X marks the spot. This was just fucking fun as all hell. All of the treasure maps were fun. Period. Even though I still say Opera Fields was the hardest one. Trying to find a starting point. Regardless though, I really wish every world had 3 treasure maps at least, each one increasing in difficulty and length. I would have loved to have played through treasure maps that start you at one point and you're going around the entire fucking world. That would take maybe 20 minutes or more to solve. You're going around every street. You're going up and down everywhere. To me, that would have been so fucking fun. It really would have been. I really love the treasure maps. I thought I would hate the hell of it and struggle on it, but nope. Again, the exact opposite. Bloodbath Bay / Dead Men Tell No Tales, easily my favorite part of the game. As much as I loved Holland and flying the biplane, playing pirate was just too much fun. And just had more going for it. For me, at least. And that brings us over to, finally, talking about a different mission. Pretty much the next mission would be destroy a bunch of ships to help make taking on the fleet easier. Again, I thought this mission was going to be a bit more challenging, especially with the more ships you had to take on all at once. But again, pretty fun, it was just pretty fun, and not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Deep Sea Danger, on the other hand, playing as Dimitri, I thought I would struggle a lot on this. For some reason, I thought this would just take me a very long time, trying to find everything needed within the mission. This was a fun one, to be honest. Actually, the deep sea diving as Dimitri in this mission would have led to a bigger undersea world of sorts to explore and try and find what you need. But the world down below in the sea in this mission was a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. Somehow this mission wasn't too bad. I never failed it. I simply took my sweet time doing it. Then we have Battle on the High Seas. Or whatever mission involving using Sly and the Panda King. No, that is actually cross off from the Deeps. My bad. The ship one I already talked about. We got us taking on the giant sea kraken / giant squid. Another boss fight I thought I would find really hard. I think I technically failed this once or twice. Once as Sly and once as the Panda King. But overall it wasn't too bad. It was actually a pretty fun mission. As for Avenge Double Cross, aka the final operation in this world, this one was interesting. The Sly portion was basic enough. From what I can remember, you pretty much get the flea angry at you, you walk the plank. Murray drives you to land in that boat, that small one. And you run to try and save Penelope. Turns out it's a fake Penelope, which explodes. I know, as the guru part of the mission, to where you're controlling the Kraken, I thought this person would be pretty tough, but it wasn't. I think I failed this once, but not too bad. As long as you're paying high enough attention to trying to take out every gold while trying to protect Bentley. As for Penelope versus the Flea, this is a easy yet hard boss fight. It took me dozens of tries at first to realize, how the fuck do you do this boss fight? There are 3 stages. You just have to remember the pattern of the first stage, second stage, and the third stage is roughly doing a bit of both of the first 2 stages. This took me dozens of tries, period, to actually beat. I was relatively close to calling it a night for playing the game because I was struggling on this so much. But in the end, I managed to beat him that same night. The Flea certainly is a interesting girl. And lastly, Honor Among Thieves. The final portion of the video. First things first. Saving Sly from the monster as con leader. Pretty sure I lost to the monster 2 or 3 times, but overall not that bad. And the first time I lost, I simply jumped to a spot where I wasn't supposed to. So that was simply a my bad. at that point. Then there's a deadly bite. Another mission I was highly scared and worried of actually playing because so many people bitch about it and find it hard. The hardest part about this mission, for me surprisingly, was swapping to the second soak. After that, it was for the most part a cakewalk. To be honest. That soak mission was one I thought was going to be one of the hardest. In the game, to be honest. I definitely lost a few times throughout the mission, but again, it just wasn't as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. Luckily. The meatless part of this world, yeah, everyone bitches about this. And I can see why. Second hardest thing in the game. Next to that dragon boss fight, in my opinion. I was ready to call it quits for the night when doing this. Yet the reaction time you need for this is almost godlike. It's honestly ridiculous what they expect you to do. And once you make it to the other end, you gotta fight Dr. M's creature of the sea. Then it's back to Penelope's RC car. Which honestly, I think this was the easiest thing in the final world. Only because I never died in this mission. Which then brings us to the biplane again. Trying to take out the enemies in the sky. In this world / episode took quite some time. That was the hardest part about this portion of the mission. Taking on Dr. M's flying whale. I think that was the easiest part of the whole fucking game. That was something I actually thought I was going to struggle on as well. But no, no, not at all. That was free. Completely free. Surprisingly, considering people bitch about trying to take down that flying whale that Dr. M is in. Yeah, that brings us to the next part. That I'm willing to talk about at least. that would pretty much be Final Legacy. And Stand Your Ground. / entering exploring the Koopa Vault. Exploring the Koopa Vault was a fucking bitch. The first night trying to do this. I saved the game in the middle of the fucking vault, thinking I could continue where I left off the next night. Nope. I had to do that whole fucking thing again. And you better believe that pissed me off. But surprisingly, once I got to where I previously left off, somehow going through the whole Koopa Vault the second night attempt of going through it all, it only took me 2 tries to go through the whole fucking thing. The first night, I struggled on every little teensy little thing in the Koopa Vault for some fucking reason. Come back next night, the Koopa Vault is almost free to go through. Standing your ground fighting a huge group of enemies as Mori. That was a tad annoying, but not that bad. Bentley's spot in the mission wasn't too bad either. That's the final fight. Take out Dr. M as Sly. Again, I thought the final boss was going to be a lot harder. Dr. M is the second easiest final boss fight in a Sly Cooper game, in my opinion, next to La Paradox being the easiest. I definitely struggled a good few times, but once I got the hang of it and equipped certain skills, that pretty much made this fight rather easy. I did get stuck on one of the things where the vehicles pop up that you're supposed to crawl under in that mission, but somehow I landed inside of one of those and got stuck and had to reset. So that happened once. I definitely knew that was a possibility of a thing, because I think I remember seeing a playthrough at one point where that happened to someone else. So yeah, I got to experience that in the final fight, apparently. But once you somehow beat Dr. M, you then take on Dr. M for the last time as Carmelita. And fighting Dr. M as Carmelita is free. Absolutely free. And at that point you beat the game. This game was a blast to play. Really wish they had bottles in this game though. I think that will always be my biggest complaint about this game. The fact that it's the only Sly Cooper game without bottles or safes. I don't care about safes, I mainly care about the collectible aspect, which is the whole purpose of exploring each world. But it is what it is. I thought that's pretty much my first experience with Sly 3 and Among Thieves for the first time. I was hoping to do a blind playthrough of this game on the channel. Well, blind's not the word I was looking for. A first time playing the game. Let's play here on the channel for the game, but I don't think I'm getting around to playing this on the channel anytime soon. So this month I just said fuck it and played the game on my own. So yeah, it was a total blast. And why do I feel like I've been ranting for an hour or so for this video? Regardless, that's pretty much my first playthrough of this game. And with that said, hopefully you enjoyed this video. This long ass rant / talk. So I guess till another video, stay golden.